making you not negligible, but it's easy to correct as you go along, right?
No,
it's just like
he's
driving a
saying
car. Listen, it's
saying
just like,
it's
hold on, I'm not
dominating.
done. I'm not done, Don. It's just like driving a car. So if you take your hand off the wheel, it's going to start to drift off of the road. Now, you make minor corrections constantly as you drive. You're constantly putting your car back onto the road. But it's really trivial. It's negligible because you don't even notice because you're constantly doing it. If you don't ever do it, you're going to keep
He's
veering
not
off
saying
the
that.
road.
He's saying you let your car could drift if you take your hand off the wheel, but that's never going to matter because it's dominated by the fluid atmosphere.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Yes, he is. He's saying it's fucking negligible because yes, he is.
You didn't hear him right.
Zanuck, tell me why I'm wrong.
It's not Zanuck. That's the professor.
I know that's Scott. I know. Zanuck, are you still here?
I'm still here, yeah. You're wrong about what, in a car on the street versus car or a boat in the water? What are you trying to say?
When you talked about the 1.5 miles per hour
per minute
difference of the Coriolis, that's so negligible, right? Because the fluid atmosphere is going to move you more than that. It's going to dominate you.
No, the
right?
fluid atmosphere is not doing it in that case. In that case, you are going from a higher tangential velocity to a lower tangential velocity.
Oh, right. So when I jumped in to say that, right, for some reason, you said that was wrong. No, you wanted to say the 1.5 mile an hour thing.
No,
and we always talk about it.
You weren't talking about that when you brought that up. It wasn't the point we were talking about.
Seriously?
I don't recall exactly what you said, but I remember it was used incorrectly. But go ahead. I'll give it to you if you want, but just we can talk about it.
So we're back in circles.
I get a headache arguing. I want to just talk normal, okay? Let's just talk.
Let's talk more. You're right. Let's talk more like sciencey.
Okay. So the car.
Well, what about the plane from North Carolina aiming for Maine or New York? Remember that thing?
Yeah.
So there's a Coriolis or a difference.
It would be off like 200 miles but due to Coriolis. If it was unguided, it would be off by 200 miles.
Okay. So that's like, now we're back to it does happen, right? But then we have to say it doesn't because of the wind or whatever, right?
No, it doesn't because you're steering the vehicle. You're actually putting input controls that counteract it so very, very slightly that you really can't notice it. As if you had a 1.5 miles per hour minute crosswind, which is almost like the jet stream in some cases, and you don't notice that either because it's such a slight correction for the crosswind.
Okay, so the conservation of momentum aspect is there.
Well, the conservation momentum is there because you're going from a higher tangent, you're going from a higher momentum to an area that you would have to be higher momentum if you.
Yeah, that's why you witness it. It's there regardless, I'm saying, but that's why you witness it. We're saying it's definitely there.
You go from you're at a high momentum, and you would go to a place where you'd have to destroy momentum to be in that exact same position directly north. Right. So because you can't destroy momentum, you scoot ahead of the
differential. Right.
Yeah.
So we're saying it's there. We're agreeing it's there, and that's why you witness it. That's how you witness it, right? It's there.
Well,
that's one
how you witness it. It is there, but
that's a way of witnessing it, though, right?
The way you witness it is with projectiles, like
Oh my God!
Shooting a rocket or shooting a gun. Then you could notice it.
Well, Zanuck, I think to me it's a way I witness it because we were aiming for one spot and we landed in the other spot. Like that's a way to not witness it.
But the aim, when you're going from North Carolina to Maine, the aim is the angle would be so small it'd almost be like you can't even write that many zeros on a piece of paper.
But you said it would happen. You would end up somewhere else.
If you were able to keep it perfectly straight and not adjust for anything, yes.
Okay, so hypothetically then, that would be one way of witnessing it.
Well, yeah, and you got to also don't forget to mention that there's no crosswinds, there's no temperature difference.
Oh, so right, then the crosswinds usually dominate it. Okay.
Yeah, usually crosswinds are much more refractory than Coriolis.
Right, much more, but like Rakia said, you would need to put both in combination to get the true calculation. Then Scott came back with saying, "Yeah, but you're not doing that, right?" But
because if you're flying,
if you did it in a scientific setting and you wanted to keep it rigid,
like that. You don't take into account because you don't fly a plane like that.
I know.
But I'm saying if we did and wanted it to be in a scientific setting and do that,
no, you don't.
Can you just chill a little bit, Don? You've been going at it, and then every time he tries to give you an answer talk, you just keep going.
This is Zanuck I'm dealing with.
No,
he's being calm now.
Well, we're going to be talking like man to man. Just like, take it back now. I got a headache from the last interaction. I apologize for going so quickly.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Okay, so yeah, you don't have to worry about Coriolis because you're flying. You don't fly a plane like that. You fly a plane by, hey, where am I on the map? Oh, I see this is a visual place I want to be. I see the airport. I'm going to follow that light, and you steer to it. And you're making all sorts of corrections, especially if there's any kind of wind. You don't ever take Coriolis into consideration when you're flying a plane, especially a light plane.
Okay, so even though, so that's your reason why you don't take it into account. I'll accept that. Great.
Because your corrections are orders of magnitude greater. Every time you turn that steering wheel, I know, just a quick side note, every time you turn that wheel, your stick, your yoke, every time you move it, you're making orders of magnitude more.
Okay, absolutely. Okay. So my turn. But if we wanted to not do all that stuff and make all those corrections, it seems like hypothetically we'd be able to do like scientific observations, right? Where we held things rigid and stuff like that, right? And then you would be able to maybe have like the calmest winds possible, do that. And what Rakia's statement, right, really would hold true. You'd be like, oh, we can do this compound calculation and we can exaggerate the flight and we can really try to witness some differential, or i.e. Coriolis, right? Hypothetically, it's possible, right?
Well, I see where you're going, and let me answer it this way. If you had very sensitive equipment on a plane, and a lot of people do, some kind of telemetry system that is so sensitive it can tell exactly what the inputs are and record it, and then also correlate that with radar tracking of the plane itself, you would then be able to draw some conclusion on these are the inputs that were either made or not made, and these were due to the winds and these were due to Coriolis. You could actually do that, I mean, theoretically, hypothetically.
You could have like corner impact sensors all around the perimeter and then like feel the wind and do the...
Well, it's something sensitive to say, look, you've corrected over 200 miles over this 2-hour, 3-hour flight. You have made these corrections that if there wasn't any of these winds or any of these other things going on, you would have not ended up where you did. So
that's interesting too. You're saying even the steering corrections too, not just the wind too. You could do like your manual.
Yeah, but then you have to map the wind too, because you know what the wind's doing because they tell you along the way, and you can see if you're straight and level, and you can see what force are acting on the plane, and you look, and then the next marker you're off by 3 or 4 miles. You go, well, what happened? I had a crosswind. But generally people tell you what's along the way, so you kind of steer against it the entire way.
Right. So hypothetically, though, the conservation of momentum is there. If you did the right things, you probably could document it or observe it, and so, that's going to hold true. Again, it's witnessed in one way, i.e. whatever you want to call it, Coriolis or whatever, north-south, but even going east to west, that conservational momentum and being in the fixed points in space and stuff, you could be able to show that, man. You could be able to show it. I appreciate you.
If you took off and you saw you're some mountaintop and you want to fly there, it's like 200 miles away, you see it way in the distance, and you're aiming at it, and then you got to take your eyes off that, and I'm just going to fly wings level, just with my instruments, and try to keep that heading. You're going to constantly notice, why am I fighting this heading? Why am I constantly turning to the left, to stay on this heading? Because then you're going to finally realize, oh, I forgot they told me there was a friggin', 40-knot wind that was going northeast, and I'm fighting that right now.
All right. Well, let me tell you, I appreciate your time and all that. I get mad because it's like we looking over the fact that we've talked about this months ago. We're looking over the fact that, or the point about the kite and the fucking soda can, all the planes are affected the same. It's just like, that shit pissed me off when it's so absolute. You're like, no, it's negligible, but it's absolute, but it's negligible. Like,
you were right in the way Veach framed it perfectly for your defense. And you were if that's the point, I wasn't even thinking like that at all. And that's my fault for not reading it that way. So, but I mean, hopefully you understand what I was saying, that I'm just saying two objects flying in a crosswind, they don't know that the air is moving left to right. They just know they're in this air mass, and they're all affected the same.
My bad if I come off like I'm acting stupid about the stasis in the fluid medium. I understand, like I'm jumping right to the end about the microdynamics of every little change. Like I promise you, I understand a stasis can occur, but everything is not the same drag coefficient in aerodynamic. It's not going to happen instantly. The same for everything.
Yeah, it won't happen. That's the key. Those are the operative terms right there. It won't happen the same. Maybe I kind of jumped and said it would, but what I was talking about was It would be the same if they were in the same air mass and everything was stabilized. There was no forces acting on them. But we get that.
All right, cool.
Zanuck, where do you hang out in science versus pseudoscience sometimes?
I try to, go over. I'm over at Kiwi's thing, listening to him blab for most of the day, and then and then hearing gems most of the time.
I see you over in science versus pseudoscience sometimes.
What's science versus pseudoscience? Which one is that?
That's Curious.
Yeah, I'm over there. That's how I start my day off. listen to Kiwi just get everything wrong, and I just give a chuckle factor. And I start typing things, and then he starts erasing anything I type. He'll erase. Zanuck, and boom. And you know what? By the way, you're out of here. And he evaporates me, vaporizes me. And then I come over to Gems and hang out with friends. Just listen to all the subjects we talk about.
You're not going on Oakley's no more?
I never go on. Why would I do that? It's like, isn't that Einstein's response? Like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different responses, definition of insanity? That would be, I finally got to after a couple of years of getting my, getting muted and just screaming it into the wall, into the air. I finally realized.
Didn't you just say what you do over and over again every day?
No, this isn't doing the same thing over and over again. This is actually fun. I enjoy this.
Oh, I thought you said you did the same
Over there, trying to argue and try to convince, trying to find that kink in the armor with QE. I thought there was actually a chance I could stump him, but he's unstumpable because when you think you got him, you're muted or booted, so it's impossible.
Yeah, the Rakia, the Nathan crowd they're confused about why Globers won't go on his show anymore, and the real reason is because nobody wants to be screamed at and muted by that clown. Nobody wants it.
You want me to treat you to dinner in New Orleans? Good. If you want to try and tell me something what you believe, I would stay out of that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Nobody wants to go on his fuck-ass show and get screamed at.
I don't care what you think. I would treat you to dinner in New Orleans because food is great. We share that common thing. But if you want to tell me something that you think I should believe or do, please refrain from doing so.
What's that have to do with? I would love to take you up on that, by the way, Rocky. I love New Orleans.
Yeah.
But we all, and Don's the same as me. We both have some basic rudimentary. It's high school physics stuff that he just wants to fight us on, and he fights tooth and nail. And when you start fighting and bring up points, and I bring up many different aspects and ways of looking at things, and I can't get 2 words out, and boom. And I think it's funny now that he calls me the sewer rat, lying sewer rat. He owed me $2,000. I mean, all the things he talks about. It's just, to me, it's funny. It means nothing to me. But he thinks you can tell it means the world to him. He's dedicated his life to this nonsense.
Well, they think that they've got us. They think that we're running scared of we're running scared of their genius arguments, and it's. I
don't think that. I think they don't think you matter.
No, they
don't care what you think.
In the last hangout, they were complaining about why Globers don't come into Nathan's anymore, and they were saying that it must be because the arguments are so good that we're running scared. That's what they were saying.
I don't think they were talking about you or Zanuck or anybody like that.
Well, I didn't say
they probably were talking about Zanuck though, because Nathan and I heard him make a list of the best Glober debaters, and he put Zanuck on the list. They made a top 5 list of like the most well-versed and knowledgeable Globers, and Zanuck was on the top list.
Yeah.
When was that?
The caveat was there's still
2 months ago.
I remember when they did that.
They're still stupid, but these are the best debaters.
They were ranking all the
hang on,
Globers.
wait. Have you guys ever heard of the phrase arguing in good faith? And do you know what that means?
No. No flat earther has ever argued in good faith.
I know, because
that's not true. I think
Chemo out in a lie today, and then he adamantly, flat out denied it, and then I actually went back in the conversation, and then put exactly what he denied. I snipped it out, copied it, did a snip of it, pasted it in, and he's still denying it.
Chemo got you earlier. I heard that. Chemo got you earlier.
No, Chemo never gets anybody.
Chemo got caught out in a lie. Got caught with his hands in the cookie jar.
He has no trouble just denying that. He just denies.
I keep asking Timo about how close Saddam was to releasing the information he had on Flat Earth, and he keeps ignoring that question. I wonder why.
I think what Darkseid said is correct, that the cash stream is drying up, and the flat Earth is just dying away. There will always be a small group of people, but it's done. I think it's done.
Well, I have to disagree with you, Don. On
For 3 years.
Right, Raki actually engages in a dialogue. I mean, yeah, he's a little difficult to deal with, as we all are. But I think Raki, I think Jeremy, and I think Don. I mean, they all fight and argue, but nobody is obnoxious like the Kiwi bunch who mutes and calls you names and goes completely ballistic like 10th Man and all the rest of those knuckleheads. Why even bother with them? You're right, but some of these guys want a dialogue. I mean, I see that. Don't you?
Yeah, but flaffers don't want a dialogue.
Some do.
Right, do you like a dialogue?
All
I have not
want
met
is,
any.
This is what I mean by arguing in good faith. If you ask me about something, even if it's something I've been intimately involved with now for 38 years, I have no problem with saying I don't know. But for a flapper or for a creatard, I don't know equates to you're wrong.
That's not always true though. There are some that are very good at saying I don't know, like Babs, for example. Babs is more than willing to be clear that he isn't clear on some concepts, and when he's wrong, he's more than willing to say, "Okay, I got that wrong."
Yeah, I'll admit defeat too and concede. It's the Globers that never concede.
That's not true. I concede all the time to Flat Earthers. I've been wrong several times.
We don't have to concede.
I conceded I was wrong to you last night, Jeremy.
Right, sometimes they concede. That's I mean, you can't categorize everyone in one group because some people will, some won't.
Well, we don't have to concede because the Earth is objectively globe, so we'll never have to concede that.
Ouch.
I mean, no, but I mean, it's just a fact of reality. I mean, it's just like saying.
Why are you here?
There's not a basketball on the table. Yeah.
Why are you here? Just to argue?
But Don, Reiki really believes the Earth is not flat. He really backs up. He looks at it every day with that discerning eye. He's looking at ships over the horizon. He does not see the Earth as being round. I mean, he just really doesn't.
Me?
Anything that's pictured is CGI and made up, and it's a big conspiracy. So I guess we have to go, and that's the level playing field.
You talking about me?
Reiki.
Oh, I thought I heard you say Dawn.
Reiki. So I mean, I respect that, and I think that's a challenge to try to show him things that we can, find commonality on, and maybe look at together and observe that we could change his mind, or maybe just have the discussion.
I think the space.com article was correct. I think the space.com article was correct. The way you change people's minds isn't by rational argument, because they didn't get there by rational argument.
I think the fact that space.com had to make an article on how to argue against flat Earth proves that flat Earth isn't going away. Come on, bro.
No, it doesn't prove that. That doesn't show that at all.
Well,
you're a curiosity, that's for sure.
But think how much we all have learned. I mean, I have pulled out some of these books I haven't looked at in 30 years, and I'm ripping through them like every night. Like, what are you reading, honey? Some novel? No, I'm reading my physics book. I got to learn about freaking entropy because I got to argue with Kiwi tomorrow.
Yeah, that's been a good thing. That's been a good thing for me too. I've had to look up.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why I do it. Is because of that.
Yeah,
it's really cool. I mean, I think it's
definitely one of the benefits. Yeah.
And this group is actually pretty good. I mean, I really enjoy talking to all the guys here.
And
this
Nathan,
what are you talking about?
Nathan talks about how he has spent hours listening to MIT videos on entropy and other things like that, and then he misquotes them.
Yep. He misinterprets the experiments and everything. It's hilarious.
No, I'm totally convinced it's deliberate on his part. He knows perfectly well. I'm totally convinced.
It could be. Yeah.
I'll offer this.
It's just amazing breaking up for everybody.
Engaging with these individuals.
The thing is, what this kind of mentality does is it looks for statements to quote me, to just push out there and to quote out of context. I mean, the most famous one, I think, is where Darwin talked about the impossibility of the eye, and then because it's a rhetorical device, because you state the obvious impossibility of a thing, and then you argue why it is possible. That is a rhetorical device that is used, and the only thing is that creationists will use that first part of the statement and say, oh, you see, even Darwin said that the eye, it would be impossible to come about by evolution. By the way, Darwin only mentioned the word evolution once.
Yeah,
Mr. Michael, hang on, Mr. Michael, can I ask you something?
Yes.
What do you mind me asking what you do for a living or what you made your living
I'm a
in?
computer techie.
Okay, so
my degree was in psychology, but
computer
I
tech.
discovered my love for computers when I was at university.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions. Let me ask you a couple questions. I've been building houses for 30 years. You knowing that I'm a flat earther, would you let me build your house?
Why wouldn't I? To all intents and purposes, for the only thing that you have to worry about when you're building a house is drainage.
Okay, so my point is,
I mean, I grew up in our family business was coping, which is cobblestones.
Mm-hmm.
That's been our family for 8 generations now, and I grew up in that business, so
let me make my point.
The only thing you worry about is you don't worry about the shape of the earth. You worry about where the water's going to go.
No, but what I'm saying is most people, when you tell them you're a flat earther, especially on this server, they automatically say you're dumb and there's no way, whatever.
For the purposes of building a house, it's immaterial.
Okay, good answer. And that's what I would say for you. I would never say, because I believe you're wrong about the globe, I would never say I wouldn't trust you with my computer. But most of the people here, that's what happened. That's a weird thing to me. That's so weird.
The reason for that is because of the disingenuousness and, frankly, the outright abuse that we get handed by flat earthers. So what goes around comes around. Yes,
Brendan does. Yeah, Brendan gets a lot of abuse.
Yes, and a lot of, and not just. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm just speaking for other people. I mean, just listen to past episodes of Nathan Oakley's show. That's
I agree.
Suck my balls. Suck my balls is not a good way to make people like you.
Yeah, I agree. Calling people liars, telling their kids should be taken away, telling them they should be institutionalized. That's not the right way to treat people, right?
Yeah, what goes around comes around, doesn't it?
No, but that's right. No, but that's right. That's not the right way.
Guess.
Exactly.
I guess if that's the way you want to put it.
Well, that's the dynamic is that people go back and there's been bad actors in the past, and then it just continues into a vicious circle.
Well, hang on. Okay, have you guys ever heard of the court case Kitzmiller et al. Versus the Dover School Board of Education, Pennsylvania?
The Dover School of Education case was in the United States. Yeah, that was a while ago.
Very famous.
Now, one of the things that came out of that, which was apart from the fact that the creationists got their asses handed to them. But one of the main things that I remember of that court case when I was following it was the amount of journalists that were getting a biology education, and they were coming out of it and basically saying, "Why didn't we learn this in school?" And this is a problem that education faces when parents are telling them one thing, teachers telling them another, and then the teachers just get maybe 10 nutcases, right? They've got hundreds of pupils. They maybe got 4 or 5 nutcase parents who will make their lives a misery because what that teacher's telling them goes contrary to what they know magically.
You're just automatically labeling those people a nutcase because they don't believe what you believe.
No, you can
because
believe,
right?
No,
one way is right, one way is wrong.
What sense of what are you using belief in? Right?
No, you said no.
You can use
knowledge.
You can use the word.
The problem is probably when the people act like they know it, even when it's just a belief. They shouldn't.
Yeah. No, you can use the term belief that you believe something in the absence of evidence, right?
Right.
Or you can believe something out, I'll believe, for instance, you say you're a builder. I'll believe you when you tell me this is how you have to build the house for the static and all the rest of it. I'll believe you, right? Because it's got nothing to do with the shape of the earth. But I won't believe you with regard to the shape of the earth.
Why not? We use the same knowledge to go out and try and measure it.
How about this, Rakia? How about if you went around telling people you're a builder and they says, no, you're not. There are no houses. Prove it to me.
Yeah.
You show them pictures of the houses you built and they say those are just CGI, those are fake. Your entire life, everything you've worked for, you're all lying about because you never did any of it. How would you feel about that?
Certain things you can prove, certain things you can't.
How? If the person's just going to say no, if the person you're talking to is going to just disbelieve everything you say, how could you possibly prove it to them?
Is that right? Then I would never attack them for that.
And they've done that to Scott. They've done that. They've deliberately
They've done it to me, Brenda.
No,
Who cares?
No, they've done it to Scott. If I remember
me,
correctly,
Brenda.
Do that to everybody.
They do that to me every day, Brenda. Every day, Brenda.
You're not a house builder,
Play that
for real?
victim card, buddy.
People have told you
Astronomers do that to everybody.
Are you kidding me, right? You're kidding me right now?
Have people told you don't build houses?
Are you're really just joking right now, right? You
No,
don't
I'm
hear
dead
this?
serious.
they've done that.
Have people told you don't build
What
houses?
did we tell Scott he doesn't do? What did they tell Scott he doesn't
They
do?
said his dad wasn't who he said he was and didn't do what he said he did.
That's right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
So what's that got to do with Scott?
It has a lot to do with Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to do with Scott's, actual occupation or him personally, like what he does. So I mean,
Actually, it does.
Good point. That's a good point, Mike. You made a great point. But in any event, it's similar.
But I don't.
Let's call it adjacent.
I don't think they should worry about it. I mean, they can have their opinion. I mean, he knows that. Everyone understands that. We can have an opinion.
Yeah,
can we have an opinion? Yeah.
Yeah, can we have opinions? Can we have opinions
You
then,
have an
Dem?
opinion, the earth's round.
Dem, can we have opinions then?
Disrespect to call someone a liar?
Well, you do, don't you?
Isn't it the height of disrespect to call someone a liar?
I don't disagree with your guys' opinions.
Rocket scientist
either
agrees me
believe him or
right
don't.
now, but he says he puts satellites into space all the time. Either you believe him or you don't. If you don't believe him, you're calling him a liar, right?
Well, I'd have to go up to the space with him and send things. I'd have to go with him.
No.
We'd have to be sent together.
He's telling you that
not a liar.
He's telling you that.
Yeah, he's telling me. I'm telling you.
You're not
the tooth
believing
fairies
right?
are in your house.
Are you not
believing me? Tooth fairies are in your ass. Are you believing me?
You don't believe that.
Hello?
You
don't believe me? Are you calling me a liar that tooth fairies aren't in your ass right now?
Yes, I am.
Well, then I'm calling you a liar.
Can you say?
It's the same.
Can you elevate it? You jumped into this. Don't jump into this.
Well, tooth fairies. Then I can just believe things, right?
Even close to the same thing.
It's his belief versus my belief, right? It's called a belief.
Now this is
If you
back
believe
to
it's
houses
wrong,
aren't real.
It's wrong.
This is,
If it's
this
right,
is
it's
right
right.
back to houses aren't real.
Nobody's talking about houses, buddy. We're talking about
Rakia has
same
never.
exact
somebody went to the moon.
Rakia's
Whether
never
somebody
built a
went to the
house in
moon
his
or
life.
Space.
Rakia's never built
We're
a
not
house in
talking
his
about
life. He's a fucking
Wooden
liar.
products.
Rakia is a
never
fucking
held a
liar.
hammer. He's never held a hammer. Hammers are fake. Houses are fake.
You're joking, but
Architects are just
I think
paid.
Brenda's
Are just
being
paid by
serious.
NASA.
Yep, and Don's never put on
You're a fucking liar, Rakia. You've never built a house in your life. You don't know anything about houses.
Listen to her. I
Don's
think she's
never-
being serious.
Well, that's the point. I'm making a
Houses don't
point.
exist. In fact, houses don't exist. Everybody knows that houses don't exist. Nobody's
Maybe they
ever
don't.
seen a house.
Rakia knows houses don't exist. He's just lying to us.
Yeah, I think
Nobody's
it's a
ever seen a house
simulation.
being built. So, therefore, houses don't exist.
That's a ridiculous argument. You know that?
No, it's the same exact thing that you guys
No,
do
it's
every
not.
day.
It's exactly.
not.
It is.
Yeah,
We've done that shit.
It
We've
exactly
done that
the
shit probably
same
to get
thing.
attention or fun. Space doesn't exist,
It's
but
so
it's usually
perfect.
because the door's open with, hey, you want to talk about maybe space doesn't exist, and you're fucking laughed at and ridiculed just for coming at it honestly.
Exactly.
Because you're calling people liars. Because there's people here
No,
who...
I'm trying to tell you the progression is usually the other
Because there's
way.
people
Kind of
here who
like
put
we're
things in space,
ostracized
and you're
for
saying
it,
they
so
did it.
then we attack. And you may be incorrect. You're right. Too long's gonna make it right. No, well,
That's not true at all, dude.
You're calling him a liar. Simple as that. Just admit
Do
it.
the fake thing, but personally, I want y'all to know it. I know that's how I progress. I know I'm like nice to my friends. I didn't just come off telling them space was fucking fake. We talked about it. It was like this, but then I remember after like halfway through the viral thing, you start acting like that. You just start being like, "Hey man, you know space fake," because you have to like open the door with that to get that radical reaction to just like jump to the conclusion. You know what I mean? You don't even have to believe it, but you have to like do it to sell it.
Why do you have to do any of that?
Yeah. Why would you bother with that?
Why are you evangelizing for this?
Why are you fucking with your friends?
Well, I don't know, man. It's like to sell the issue that you're serious. I'm saying for communication purposes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
but
seems
why?
like
What's the end goal?
People don't just normally open up with being mean. It's just really
What's the
not
end
like
goal?
that. And so for you guys to think that, you know, you need to be defensive because flat earthers are open and mean and rude, it's a point when they do it. But to think that they start off that way, I don't think that that's fair.
You ever talk to Oakley or Kiwi?
Whatever. They've been in this game long enough. They've been attacked viciously too.
What game?
I think they're kind of.
What game are you talking about?
That's not really what happened, Rakia. What happened is.
Brenda, if you let me talk, Brenda, for a year I listened and I heard the toxicity coming out of this side, and it was just attack. And then when I got into this, they attacked me. So I know firsthand.
So from my point of view,
I hear you getting attacked too. I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's your persecution complex speaking, bud.
Thank you for that. I actually appreciate that. But I think the thing that turned Nathan around is he used to go to places like Non Sequitur and other places, and he got destroyed. And so then he decided to just lick his wounds and stay in his little cave, and that's what happened. And I think that's a typical thing. When flat earthers try to argue, they fail, and they fail because it's not true.
I'll offer this for consideration when engaging with flat earthers is try to engage in them in stuff that's outside of their little pocket that they're used to, and actually engage them. Don't use it as a gotcha, but try to engage them in thinking outside their limited perspective and narrow-minded stuff.
Well, look, the thing is, I've got a friend of mine who's Portuguese, and we have passionate arguments about Intel versus AMD with regard to CPUs, right? We have passionate arguments about that. But, I think he's wrong, but I won't call him a liar.
Who are you, Intel?
No, since third generation Ryzen,
Well, you're dead wrong. You're absolutely wrong, dude. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Joke.
Don't even start with that because I got told off before somebody gets me. Well, the thing is, I have to, to be, transparency. I am autistic. I was diagnosed with Asperger's when I was 25, and when you get me started on something that I'll micro focus on it, and then you literally have to kick me in the shins. So I don't.
Actually, thanks for saying that because it's easy to not know that and then accidentally be over sarcastic or over subtle and
No, some people think that the mistake when I'm speaking about something, they'll mistake it for trolling. I can get very, very, very literal where I don't actually see that the other person is sarcastic, and that can end up. I've walked into that wall way too many times with people.
I bet.
So I've got no problems at all when I don't know who it was that jumped in and said, "Hey, shut the fuck up about this," because it got me going. When I get into that, because it's my passion, it's what I do, and then I micro focus in on it, and everything else disappears. So then my wife used to kick me in the shins, quite literally, kick me in the shins.
It's funny. I had dinner. Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, but if she did, you must have deserved it.
Well, yeah, it was basically shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Whenever a woman kicks a man, it's because he deserves it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're never just a fucking bitch, are they? They're always right. Yeah.
Oh, come on, relax. I was just making just a little. I was trying to lighten things up.
I know, and this is the response I wanted. Thank you, Brenda.
He's just kidding.
An amusing story about that. Basically, I was well. The start of it isn't amusing. I was in Bonn. I turned to a shoe shop, turned to move on, and my lights didn't work. Fast forward, I'm in hospital, and what had happened is the discs had imploded into my spinal column, and basically, luckily, the blockage was temporary, but I had to have a spine operation. So I was sitting there with the doctor, and they have to basically give you the information about what could go wrong and all the rest, because you have to give your consent to the operation. So I'm looking out the window, not paying attention. And my wife kicked me on the shin, like, let's say, literally kicked me in the shin. I go, what? I said, listen to the guy. I said, he's not going to tell me what I want to know anyway. And the surgeon said to me, he said, well, what do you want to know? I said, how many times have you fucked up this operation? What's the worst that's ever gone wrong? And so he said, yeah, well, that was quite easy enough. He was doing the operation, and he hit the main artery, which goes up the spine. And he said, I had to turn the patient around, go in through the stomach, repair the damage, carry on with the operation. The patient left the hospital 2 weeks later with 2 scars instead of 1. And I thought about it for all of like about 5 microseconds and said, okay, give me the paper. That's total confidence. Somebody tells me how they fucked up, I will have 100% confidence in them. If he had said to me nothing had ever gone wrong, I would have been very skeptical.
At least he was honest with you.
Yeah. And I had total confidence. I had no problems whatsoever.
Did you get 2 scars or 1?
No, I only got 1 scar. I had 2 operations. So I got basically 1 scar in my back.
You gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Jeez, I ended up with 4 scars from mine.
Goddamn Avros.
So Rakia, you can take this back to Nathan. I will debate Arwen, Chocolate Saiyan, Neo, anybody from his server. I'll debate Nathan. I'll debate QE, but it has to be on neutral ground. Or they could just come here. I mean, if they're so worried about finding people to debate with, they can come here. And I bet Jem would set up a debate where there's no interrupting.
Referee.
Moderator.
Referee me.
No, but I seriously, I think he would.
Jim would do that, but they would never come.
Everyone remember what happened last time Kiwi came in?
He went
minute and 27 seconds.
Wait, he's been here? I've never seen him.
Yeah, he came in here about 6 weeks ago. It was the last time I saw. But he was here for 1 minute and 27 seconds before Jem kicked him for being a twat.
Well, hell, that's longer than I lasted over there, Dad.
Well, to be fair, other Globe Earthers go on his show to deliberately troll him too. But,
I asked a simple question.
Crash, you never ask a simple question.
There was some rowdy use over at 24/7, boy. Rowdy little potty mouth use, boy. Disrespectful little motherfucker.
Well, the thing is, all you have to do is say mathematics, and they go, ah!
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that's not true.
What's your scientific evidence, Crayon Muncher?
Scientific evidence? What does that
That's
mean?
right.
Yeah,
scientific evidence. That means it means a result of scientific experiment, Crayon Muncher.
All right. Well, I believe things to be true because of a body of evidence, Quantum.
A body of evidence?
Yeah.
What type of evidence?
Any type of evidence that supports the proposition.
How about scientific evidence?
That would be very useful, but it's not necessary.
Oh, it's not necessary to have scientific evidence?
Absolutely not.
Really? And then we've been told for the past 5 years that if we believe in the flat earth, we must deny all of science and all of physics. Do you have any scientific evidence? Do you even know what fucking science is?
If you swear at me and behave like this, you will just be
scientific
muted.
method is.
Fuck off!
Your stupid watered-down version that you.
Hey, where's that Brian Peckerheaded Peckerwood?
Hey, Kiwi, I haven't seen you since the days of
Yeah,
Eat a dick,
Joe,
you
come
motherfucker.
over to the arena.
No,
you guys are cowards. Come on up. Fucking shut up, Negator. Your fucking 1 millimeter isn't fucking that much larger than 10 to the 26, negative 26 meters.
Right, you're muted.
10 to the 26 meters. You can get hard, you pass out.
What is this gay comic shit? They're showing She-Hulk on this, but it says Hulk and Thor are in a relationship. Do I need to click this clickbait, man?
No, don't.
It'll lead you down a rabbit
Bullshit.
hole you never knew existed.
What are y'all doing to my phone, man? Who is hacking my phone up in this motherfucker, man?
Oh, sorry,
The
that might be
only
that.
app I use.
I'll stop. No, I won't really.
Because he didn't start. It was the squirrels.
Yeah. Squirrels for that sort of shit.
Damn it, that's what I was supposed to be working on.
What, squirrels?
General Mayhems.
And we'll get there.
Besides, the only people hacking your phone are the advertisers. If I go to a website, 5 minutes later, I'm getting ads popping up about that website.
Yep.
That's what I'm working on right now, Cypher.
Nice.
It was funny when I pre-ordered my PS5. I clicked over to JB Hi-Fi. We have suspended pre-orders because we've got too much traffic.
Could you pick up that room? Jesus, that floor is terrible.
Look, I spent the last month and a half living in my truck, so no, I haven't unpacked everything yet, Brenda.
And while you're at it, clean the garage.
I don't have one anymore.
I'm just giving shit.
You don't clean a garage, you just reorganize it. But it's still got the same amount.
Well,
the entropy doesn't change.
That is true. Do you fill the available microstates?
I could post pictures of the toolbox from the other day, Davros. That'd really drive Brenda insane.
Jeez.
Did you see what my daughter did to my tool tray when she was doing her truck?
Yeah, I smartened up with my welding table because it's got a tray underneath it. It's held in by 6 screws. I just went with 3. So I put 2 corners on one side and 1 in the center on the other side. Perfect.
Is that a mini toolbox?
Yes, it is.
You got a toolbox for ants?
Yeah. It's
No,
a toolbox for mice.
It goes with this.
How do you expect them to use the tools that can't reach inside of it?
Nice.
Yeah, but when you're only dealing with 3 mil and 4 mil nuts and bolts, you sort of don't need a very big toolkit.
How fast that thing go?
It's not set up for speed. In fact, we slowed it down. It's got a top speed of like 4.5 miles an hour.
So you just kind of take it mini muddy.
No,
rock crawler.
Competition crawling.
I feel like the joke I made went over your head.
Hey, so tell me about that. Competition crawling?
But happy, you're short, so everything goes over your head.
But this one went over your head about if they can't fit their hands inside of it.
You have a timed course with a set number of gates. You get penalties for hitting gates and rolling over. You can't touch the truck.
Have you ever seen Zoolander?
Cool.
How do they fit them inside that? Didn't this